Hello, gorgeous. Welcome to HG Radio, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration. Here is your co-founder and host, Kim Becker.
Hello, gorgeous, and thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Kim Becker, and this is Hello, Gorgeous, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration on Society Bites Radio, social interaction for your mind and soul. My guest today is CARLO Glorioso. CARLO began his career in film, TV, and theater as an actor, but quickly began to explore the production management. His first major success was the live worldwide televised concert and mass at Oriole Park as part of the visit of Pope John Paul II to Baltimore. Through the years, he has worked in all areas of production, including corporate videos and commercials such as clients as Kellogg's, UNESCO, and MedStar Health. Based in Frederick, Maryland, he is also the director of the Frederick Film Office. As such, he has successfully lobbied for low-budget film incentives, helped to build the Frederick into a hub for all types of productions, and worked with independent student and studio productions. He is proud to have worked with the producer of George Peleanakis. You'll have to correct me on that. There you go. And The Wire, and The Deuce. Fame on the feature films Fishbowl and DC Noir. Another source of pride is working with Ed Sanchez of the Blair Witch Project and the film VHS 2. He continues to work with Eduardo on several projects in development. In recent years, he has been producing a number of music videos with such companies as Universal Music Group, Warner Music, Concord Music Group, with such artists as Casey Musgraves, Little Big Town, and Rustin Kelly are among those stars. CARLO lives with his wife, Lisa, and his daughter, Stella. Hi, Carl. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kim. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So you go by CARLO professionally.
I do.
But I know you as Carl.
I
do. So you want to tell the story as to why you go by CARLO professionally?
Well, everyone in my industry, we kind of live and die by the International Movie Database, which everybody knows as IMDb. And there's another Carl on there with the same last name who was Miss Gay Missouri, and he competed for Miss Gay America. He's been in a number of productions. He now owns a salon in Kansas City, Missouri. And I'm sure he's a lovely man, but our credits kept getting crossed. So I decided to go by my legal name. And the reason I go by Carl in my personal life is that everybody changes Carlo to Carlos in America, and it drives me batty. It's a source of great amusement for my wife. But it's just easier for me than having to correct people 50 times a day. So,
I'm sitting here looking at you, figuring out what shade of lipstick I would put on you if you ever decided that you wanted to, go that way.
Well, I wouldn't be the first time I've been in a dress, but with these shoulders and my hairy chest, I don't think I'd be winning any contest. So,
well, I'm grateful. So, I don't always get to interview my guests face to face, but I'm lucky enough that Carl is in Maryland. We have a project that we're working together on, which I'll tell you about in a minute. But and so I'm grateful that you're actually here in my office and that we get to do this face to face. So,
absolutely,
it doesn't happen very often. So tell me a little bit about, so you've been in the film career for a long time. Mm-hmm. How did you actually, did you always know that was an industry that you wanted to be in? Was there a favorite movie that kind of prompted you to get into that?
I always grew up loving film and business and medical things. So I thought I'd either be a doctor or maybe I'd be a performer or something. And I love performing in sports and things like that. And when I was in college, it was time to make a decision, and I happened to be freshman year cast in a film. It was my first time on a film set. And I thought, this is amazing. This is what I want to do. This is my calling. And I concentrated my major on film and on acting and business. And so I could have some opportunities if the acting didn't work out. And that was my focus. I still love the medical stuff. I've had ACL repairs in both my knees. There's some footage of one of them. It's really cool to see. I love watching medical shows where they do procedures and stuff. Drives my wife crazy. But that's just not the route that I took. So
that's awesome. And so what did you do when you actually, I can't imagine the big step that it took when you moved to New York City, right? So
so my first time in New York, I went there. I studied acting at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and that was huge. It was almost like the TV show and movie Fame brought to life. very intense, very serious, and people like Robert Redford and Danny DeVito. I mean, if you walk in there, they're Hall of Fame, and there's one in New York and one in LA, and mine was in New York, and that was great. But then I moved back right after college. I was cast in an off-Broadway show, and moved up there and gave it a shot, and I loved it. I really loved the performing and everything, but twists and turns in your career. I happened to be out on tour at the time, back in the day, and I'm aging myself now, before Skype and cell phones were a common thing, and email. And so you couldn't do video auditions and things like that. They didn't exist in the business. And I came back to New York, and I was out of work. So I had someone who knew someone they were interviewing for jobs, and they said, you'll never get it, but maybe you'll get a PA job or something and work your way up. And I landed an associate producer's job, and that kind of started me on the production side of things.
And so do you enjoy being behind the camera more than you enjoyed being in front of the camera?
I do. It's not that every once in a while I'll have somebody ask me, like a friend or somebody, that I'm working on a project, and maybe an actor might drop out or something, and why don't you do it? And every once in a while I think maybe I will, and maybe I will someday, but I really kind of enjoy being involved with all aspects of the production. It really kind of like gets my juices flowing.
In the bio, we read a little bit about not only do you do the production, but you've actually lobbied for some different things to be an advocate for the small film.
Sure.
And so what's been the biggest reward or the biggest push that you've been able to make to advocate for the small film developer?
Well, in Maryland, the climate for film incentives, unfortunately, film incentives, I wish they would all go away all across the country, but they're not going away. So if you want to have production in your state, you have to have incentives. And our incentive program was very small, and it was used up every year. And unfortunately, there was nothing there for Maryland-based filmmakers. So we've lobbied not only to increase, a lot of people have lobbied to increase the incentive program in terms of the dollar amount, but we also, there's a small group of us that lobbied for a small set aside for just Maryland-based production companies who were doing homegrown projects. And Ed Sanchez, he was part of that whole lobbying effort. You know, this is a guy who made a $50,000 movie that made $250 million worldwide in his home state of Maryland. So he was a good advocate for that and a big help. But now that every year there's a 10% of the annual incentive for Maryland, film incentive, is set aside for Maryland-based production companies. And that's largely due to the efforts of the group of people who got behind that.
That's awesome.
And Senator Ron Young, I got to give a shout out to him.
So do you go out and actually look for things that can be filmed in Frederick, Maryland, or do people come and find you and ask them to be filmed in your area?
So through the film office, we kind of wait for them to come to us. We get enough traffic with people coming to the area, and especially with the incentive program now, that where they're coming to our area. And Frederick County is the largest landmass county in the state. It's doubled for every state in the union except for Hawaii. So we double for a lot of other places and things like that. And then on my production company side of things, I go out and, you know, we either we say it's a gun for hire, we go and work for somebody else, or we have our own projects that we're creating and we try and bring those to life. And
so, am I correct? Was House of Cards filmed out in Frederick?
It was. They filmed a couple scenes out there, and they did a lot of antique buying out there. But it was actually filmed mostly in Havre de Grace, Maryland. A lot of the outside scenes in D.C. were filmed in Baltimore, and then they did a little bit of filming in D.C. Not much.
Okay. All right. So tell me a little bit about like the best project that you worked on. So I know you've done some work in Kellogg's, and then I know you just did a video for like Little Big Town. Like if what's your favorite project to do? Are the short ones like the video, or you worked on, what was the name of the Christmas movie?
Elfman.
Elfman, yes.
With Wee Man from the Jackass series.
Yes.
It really depends on the people and the project. I mean, you know, we've had some things where you work on the project and it's very short, but it's a lot of fun and very rewarding, and everybody works together well. And you've had short ones that are a nightmare and you can't wait till it's over. We have a core group of people that we work with, and we work with a lot of different production people in Maryland that we know. And over the years, we've gotten to, you know, who we like, who we don't, what personalities mesh. But it's tough sometimes. I mean, the Little Big Town video, in a lot of ways was very rewarding. In a lot of ways was very challenging, and some of the personalities didn't mesh. They're great. Little Big Town is great. Kate Bosworth starred in it. And it's a wonderful video. The song's called Sugarcoat. It's out there. Check it out. It's really, we're very proud of that video. We did a lot of work with Rustin Kelly, who is Casey Musgrave's husband. Everybody knows Casey. We did a short little video with her for her mother video, but he's awesome. He's a really great personality. He's a big energy. He's a 30-year-old guy who's a really talented musician and writer, and working on those things was really labor of love because he didn't have big budgets, and it was crafting something that really kind of highlighted the music. And in one of them, he actually figure skates because he was a semi-professional figure skater at one time, which if you met him, you go, what? But incredibly talented musician, really salty there kind of a guy. And it was great working with him and his team on creating this stuff that's now out there for people to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you and I met probably, I'm thinking 7 or 8 years ago.
Sure, yeah.
So tell that story about how that was just kind of a fluke of things as well.
So you were certifying a salon in Frederick, Maryland. I knew the salon owner, and she's a crazy, quirky lady and really nice, kind of quirky. And she said, I want to film this thing that's happening for my website. But I don't have any budget, but it's for cancer and women with cancer. And can you help me out? And I said, well, we can send over an intern. And the intern got sick the day of. I called her. She pleaded, please, this woman's in town from South Bend. So I kind of flipped my schedule around, grabbed a camera and a tripod and headed over, and that's how we met.
And so, but there was more to that because as you came and you did the tripod, you had no idea who I was or what I was trying to do.
We started having a conversation, and you told me about, that's very cool, and everything that's really awesome. And then you said you have a book, and then my husband and I, that he's this really great guy, and we have this idea for a TV show. Oh yeah, that's okay. Everybody pitches me every time they hear I'm in production. So I was like, okay, all right. And then you and Mike were pretty relentless and come out to Indiana. So we came out, a small group of us, and we met some of the women that you work with. Mm-hmm. And one line sticks with me, and I know I say this all the time, but one of the women said, cancer takes away everything that makes you feel like a woman, and you gave it back to me for a day. Mm-hmm. And that made all the difference to us. And then we started hearing from the families, from the women who didn't survive and the women that did survive. And I thought, this isn't just a makeover. This is entire, they're reinvigorating their spirit. They're giving them the energy to fight. And even when they lost the battle, it still made a difference. Mm-hmm. And it's, you guys do the work of angels. And I thought, that's something people need to see. And that's what changed my mind about, okay, there's got to be something here. There's got to be a show here.
Well, and one of my favorite stories was we were able to film a couple of makeovers at Notre Dame, mm-hmm. and we pulled off, which is still an amazing feat to me, but we pulled off a reveal in front of 10,000 people, which was huge. But Kendall was my favorite without any prompting. We kidnapped her out of the audience mm-hmm. at a Pink Zone game, did the makeover in a locker room, mm-hmm. a volleyball locker room, I think, mm-hmm. and then did a big reveal for her. And luckily, we had all kinds of cameras there, and Katie Stam was mm-hmm. with us. She was a mm-hmm. 2009 Miss America. And when she came out to the middle of the stage, she did a whole Mary Tyler Moore thing.
Oh, yeah. Hat in the air.
That's right. And did a big twirl.
Yep.
So we came off the court, and you looked at her, and you said, that was incredible. What made you do that? Do you remember her response?
I don't remember her response. What was it?
Her response said, well, there were people behind that didn't see me.
Oh, and that sounds like her.
And it was just incredible because of what we were able to do. You made her feel, we took her from this bald individual and did a head-to-toe makeover on her and stuck her center court in front mm-hmm. of 10,000 people and made her feel like a superstar. Yes. And you guys were able to capture that mm-hmm. and be able to tell that story, which was amazing.
It's amazing. She was amazing. What you're doing are amazing. The affiliates are amazing. Mike was amazing. Mm-hmm. I always say, when I met him the first time, I was like, this guy looks like Mr. Clean and has, the heart of Jesus, and it's just the energy of the Energizer Bunny because he's just so, just go, go, go. And I know he was dealing with his own health issues, but you wouldn't know it to see him. And he was, your biggest fan and your son Seth's biggest fan. And that was that was wonderful to see. So you guys touched my heart, and I guess we can dovetail into, so we have a lot of old footage of Mike, and you have